Welcome everyone to Nerd Manufactory. Today we are going to be doing a pseudo part 2 to a video I did earlier, I believe either this year or late last year, regarding taking parts out of a hoverboard and repurposing them. Primarily what I wanted to do is repurpose the motors from a hoverboard and use them in a robotics project of some kind, or potentially some other project in the future. But unfortunately, life got in the way, things happened, and I never really got to do that part 2. And realistically, I don't even want to call this video a part 2 to that. I want to kind of call it a part 1.5. With that being said, I also apologize for any weird sound issues because I'm using a streaming camera in my garage where I'm working on this. So apologies for that. But what we've got here is a gutted out hoverboard. I've got the hoverboard motor here hooked up to a motor controller, brushless motor controller that I got off of Amazon. I'll post a link to that in the description. And I've got the Hall effect sensors wired in using actually the cable harness from this particular hoverboard. One thing I noticed is I ordered a couple of other motors off of eBay, and I found that the two motors that came from this have completely different connection points compared to the other 4 that I got from eBay. So I'm gonna have to look into that and change this connection up for all of them so I can use this kind of as a test bench. But I digress. I do not have an Arduino on here, so I don't have any type of logic control right now, which I do want to add. But what I have is a benchtop power supply. Now I will say that this benchtop power supply maxes out at 28 volts. This whole system, from my understanding, is 36 volts, so I will not get the full power from that motor until I get this changed over. But for testing purposes, this works really well, though I will say it is rather sketchy looking. What I'm able to do though is I am able to provide power to the motor controller, and through this blue potentiometer I'm able to adjust the speed of that motor so that I can get it to ramp up, and when it gets to a certain point it starts to vibrate, primarily because this isn't mounted, and secondly I think we start not having enough power to draw from, and the power supply kind of does some weird things. But what we're going to do is we're going to turn on the power supply. You can see 28 volts right there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly twist this up. Get that in there, and as you can see, and I'm only going to stop there. I can go a little bit higher, but it starts to shake, like I said. But the potentiometer basically acts as your throttle, so I can slow it back down using this, and it's great for testing. And there you go, it starts to vibrate. It's great for testing. But in the end, I want to get a Arduino on there so they can actually provide some logic to this and potentially put an encoder on it, so I can take the encoder and read wheel positions and do odometry and a bunch of other things that I can add to it for a robot platform. The other part of that too is I want to make this more compact and kind of modular, so I can swap them in and out depending on which motor I want to put into the chassis that I'm working on. But with that said, at least I can prove that these motors run. I'm going to test all the other motors that I've got just to make sure I don't have any duds. And then if I do, maybe try to look into fixing the dud. But for now, at least I know one motor works. If I can get a pair, then I'll move on and build the chassis, and I'm going to work on getting the Arduino on here. So that's why I say this is kind of like a pseudo part 2 with a 1.5. But I will post a link to both this motor controller on Amazon, so if you want to try this yourself, you can. I'm also going to put a link to the blog that I found that helped me wire this up, and is also going to help me with the code to make this work with an Arduino. And then later on I'm going to add some extra pieces to it. But for those updates and for other videos in the future, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Always looking for people to provide feedback. I know I haven't been around a little bit, but I am going to try to make more of an effort this year to make more videos about this project and other projects that I do have, and I have some fun other ideas to go along with this. But until next time, Have a great day, and we'll see you